This meeting.
And we got a newbie jumping in tonight here too, Mr. Anthony that joined joined the herd last week.
Yep, last week.
Hi, Anthony. Welcome aboard. Do you go by Anthony or Tom?
You can call me whatever you want, Larry, but I usually make folks pronounce the extra syllables and go by Anthony.
I think that's cool. I think that's cool.
So from now on, since he's ornery with the extra syllables, we will just call him Ant, and we'll just leave it at that.
Anthony, yep.
So.
I want to show you proof.
Well, no, you said you went turkey hunting. You didn't say you went turkey killing.
Well, I was actually successful in killing one when I went hunting for one.
Well,
oh, and we had a huge tornado come through Shawnee on a Wednesday night. It's 1.35 miles wide and on the ground for 15 miles and did devastating damage to our little community. We have FEMA here with huge trucks and trailers bigger than I've ever seen before, with big claws on them to pick up the brush and load it up. We had 186 houses that were reportedly destroyed beyond repair. Oklahoma Baptist University got hit real hard. The high school got wiped out.
oh,
It
wow.
was a serious twister.
Well, sure glad you're okay. And that's one of the things up here in Idaho when I'm shoveling snow during the winter. I proudly say we don't have tornadoes, we don't have hurricanes, and we don't have earthquakes. So
Exactly.
Greg, you can relate. Same thing, right? We don't have to deal with that.
Uh-huh.
I agree. I want to hear Larry's Roundup gobble.
Roundup gobble. Well, it was sufficient. Let me tell you, it was sufficient.
All right. Well,
And I used my elk call to call them in.
well, that works. So let's
Yeah.
get this party started. So welcome everybody to Wapiti Wednesday live Q&A for May 10th, 2023. Tonight we are doing another group calling session tutorial technique, pull you guys on the carpet, put you on the spot, and make you do horrible sounds, and I tell you how bad you stink. Tonight we're staying in the theme, kind of like what we talked about 2 weeks ago, with the roundup bugle being an inviting type sound that's asking for an action. It's asking for elk to come here. So staying in that theme tonight, we are hitting the regathering mew. So the regathering mew again is one of those sounds that asks for an action. It asks for all the elk within earshot to come to you. It's a critical piece because we've talked about this on past episodes where I really believe in using sounds that ask for something, not just make elk sounds, but ask for a response or ask for an elk to come to me. And that's critical, especially when you're archery hunting, because otherwise, if you're just making elk sounds, you're going to sit where you're at and that bull's going to sit where he's at, and you guys are going to have a lovely conversation. Nobody's going to move towards the other one or anything like that, but you guys will have a great conversation. You'll go back to camp and you go, man, that was a great day. I talked to that bull for 2 hours. And if you come into my camp and you say, I talked to him for 2 hours, I'm going to ask you, what did you talk about? What did you ask him? And why did you guys stay right where you were at? So, I mean, it's great to have conversations, but really we are archery hunting and elk hunting to where we can turn into that upper 10% of harvesting. So now, the one thing about the regathering mew, it can be used in a lot of different contexts and a lot of different situations. One way, and let me ask you guys if this has ever happened to you. You've been moving through the woods and you have been hunting and not really scanning the surroundings, and all of a sudden a herd of elk takes off. Has that ever happened to anybody, or am I the only one that kind of stuff happens to? All right, Greg, Anthony, Larry's thinking if that's ever happened to him in his life. So Sandy's just kind of smirking because it probably happens to him more than he wants to admit. And no. So, okay. So that is one of the things where the regathering mew is a very, very valuable tool. So, because how many of you have ever thought about, man, I just bumped that herd of elk. I'm going to kind of pause where I'm at for just a little bit, let things mellow out. And then I'm going to follow that herd and I'm going to start doing regathering mews and assembly mews and lost mews to regather up, because there's a chance that that herd scattered and some of them got separated. Anybody think about doing something like that to bring that herd back to you?
In the last 2 weeks, yes.
Only because
As of now, yes.
Because you gave us the assignment, yes.
okay, okay, perfect. And it's okay because I used to do the same thing. If I bumped elk, I know this is the punishment that I just sign up for every 2 weeks. So, and I know there's a couple of the normal characters that aren't here that would add to it. So, but no, it's one of those things that, early on in my career, same thing. If I bumped a herd, I was like, man, dang it, I bumped them. They're gone. There is absolutely nothing wrong with pursuing that herd and asking regathering. Regathering mews, assembly mews. You can even do roundup bugles and throw all those in together because it's asking that group to come together. And the cool thing is you could have had a bull with one cow that went left and the rest of the cows went right, and you're right in the middle of them. Then all of a sudden that one bull with the cow is like, oh, hey, there's the cows that went the other direction because you're in between them. And then instead of you having to chase them the whole entire way, maybe you only move 100, 200, 300 yards and then set up and do that. And then that group actually comes back to you. Now, there are a few factors that it depends on how they took off. If they took off on a full dead sprint dust, you can hear just branches crashing all the way down the mountain. There's a good chance that this approach won't work. But if they just kind of bumped a little bit, they weren't sure what you were, but they knew something wasn't right, and they just moved. They may have only moved 400 yards, 500 yards, and then kind of stopped to look back of what was that. That's the time that this approach is great to use. So, okay.
Michael, I had two occasions. One time I came up on a herd and a hunter. And I said, man, you're really calling a lot. He said, no, that's not me. That's that herd down there. He said, go get him, because he'd already got his elk. So I started pursuing them, never caught up with them, didn't have much knowledge of calling at all. And it was in the morning and they were going to bed down.
Mm-hmm.
And then another time I had a small herd with a young bull in it that kept responding to me as they were moving to bed down.
Right.
I eventually caught up with them,
Mm-hmm.
but I never called them back in. I just caught up with them.
So that's a little different scenario there, because that's a band of elk that actually has a destination in mind. They're heading to their bedding area.
Right.
And if you're behind them, it's really, really tough to get them to turn around and come back. Now, if you're a little closer to their bedding area when they start settling down and milling around, you have a better chance of kind of pulling them, to you if, you're within a couple hundred yards. And that's what happened on that other one where you said you caught up to them, because they got to the spot where they wanted to bed down. And remember, they don't get right there and bed down immediately. They get there and they mill around for a little while. And so that's why we've talked about in the past that hunting them and calling them in transition areas is really, really tough, because they have that destination in mind where they want to get to. But if you're close by where they want to go, their bedding area or their feeding area, your chances of interacting with them and calling with them are much higher. But see, in that instance where they were moving and constantly talking, and you had bulls bugling where the one bull was answering you back, he was basically inviting you, hey, we're heading this way, come follow us. This is where we're headed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the tricky thing is a lot of time they'll do that in the train in the travel corridor, but as they start getting close to their destination, they get quiet. So, was there ever a period of time where that bull kind of shut up for a little bit and went
Yes,
quiet? Yeah.
yes, for a while. Yep.
Yep.
And
So,
then and then I caught up to them, not knowing they were right in front of me because they had shut up for a while.
yep.
Exactly.
And that's where if you can get to, uh, just like I've talked about how our approach in our hunt area, we know where they bed, we know where they feed. We take different avenues for them to get there. So that way we're basically waiting for them. And that's where this regathering mew or asking those elk to come to us works really, really well because we're already where they want to go. And we have that longer window of working them. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So another way with the regathering mew is early season. So, we kind of talked about the inviting cow routine. You guys remember that one, the inviting cow routine, where every sound in that is asking an elk to come to you. The regathering mew is one of the sounds that's really vital in that inviting cow routine because basically you're inviting. And in early season, you get a lot of bulls that are cruising, looking to pick up their cows. And that's where a sound like the regathering mew really comes in to play. But the funny thing is this is where you can get the standoff because you will be there doing the regathering mew, asking that bull to come to you. And what do you think that bull is doing while he's sitting out there?
He's wanting you to come with him.
you.
He's doing the roundup bugle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, roundup.
so you're asking him come to you. He's asking you, no, you come to me. And that's where you can move towards him. So if he's like at 200 yards out, you cut the distance. You go 100. Then you hit him with the regathering mew. If he stays put, that's where you put more inflection into that regathering mew of, hey, listen here, dude, I just came halfway to you. I am not that easy of a girl. You are going to have to make some effort here too, mister, and you're going to have to come the other half if you really want to be with me. And get demanding with it. Get volume. That's where your tube or the game changer. In fact, I was going to grab the game changer before we started tonight, but I done forgot. So you don't get to hear that tonight. But yeah, adding that affliction, getting more demanding on it. So early season, if you bump elk, and then those are really, really good times. And also too, if you hear a bull that is just advertising. I know we've only touched on advertising a little bit, but that's that bull that's just in his bed. And he just does that little tiny bugle right there every 5 minutes. Anybody ever hear that out there? A bull just in one spot that just does, ooh, and he's always in that one spot. And it's 5 minutes,
Yep.
then he does it again, could be 10 minutes, does it again, but that's all he does. But he does that for an hour or two. And basically what he's doing is he's advertising for cows. So that's where slipping in close to him and then start in with that regathering mew. The regathering mew and the assembly mew, just, hey, I'm right here. I heard you. I've come a little bit. And those are 3 good ways to use those. Let's hear it.
Woo-hoo.
You got to suck, don't blow. There you go.
All right.
Okay. And there is the nightly
Hire
appearance of
out.
Knox. So
We'll hire him.
I actually come in some.
I know. That's why I said it's the nightly appearance of live Q&A for you to pop your head in and play with the easy sucker. There we go. So, all right, regathering mew. Remember, the regathering mew is basically just a
Wait,
normal mew. Oh,
Question. Got a quick question. when you hear that bull from the same spot
Uh-huh.
advertising,
Uh-huh.
and you know that you have to close the difference, shouldn't you start announcing yourself well before you get close so you don't surprise them?
Not necessarily. Because you want to get closer, because remember, anytime that you present yourself, if you present yourself too far out, even though it's not a confrontational sound, it still gives him the ability to lock in on the distance that you're coming from. Now, especially if he's elevated above you, because remember, when you're elevated, it's easier to look down. You can see a lot farther looking down than you can coming up. So if you're kind of trying to gain elevation to get on his plane, you're looking up and you're like, oh, I got plenty of cover. I'm good. But once you get up a ways and turn around and look back, it's like, holy crap, I didn't really have the cover that I thought I did. So, um, and you're not getting in right on top of him. I mean, you could start 200 yards out from him, start making sounds and then working towards him. You just don't want to do the sounds from 4, 5, 600 yards out. That
Got
makes
it.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions so far? Sorry, I'm just rambling and rolling.
No, because he's telling you where he is to begin with, so it's probably easy to work into him.
It is. You have the advantage. You know exactly where he's at. He's pinpointed. You can pick some landmark to use as a reference point, whether it's a old dead tree snag or a rock outcropping or something. And the nice thing about that is you have the ability. You can take your time getting in. You don't have to cover ground really quick, and you can really control the thermals. So, okay, regathering meal. So remember the regathering mew is basically just it's built off the mew. But we're going to take that mew and we're going to turn it into a long mew. We're going to stretch it out. So imagine really stretching that out. Now, to get the regathering mew, you want the wave on the high note. And the way you do that, remember, is you start putting a little tongue pressure. You start putting pressure with your diaphragm on that air pressure. Then you back the pressure off so the sound almost disappears, and then you bring that pressure back. So we talked about it, demonstrated a little bit 2 weeks ago. Now it's time to find out where the rubber meets the road and who's going to be the first victim, or not victim, who's going to be the first volunteer tonight.
Larry,
Larry.
You want me to?
It's unanimous. There's a lot of people shaking their head.
Got to warm up my rating.
Okay, Larry, I need you to make one change. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, in fact, all of you guys take a look at this. You'll see the stop video and you'll see the microphone. The microphone's okay. That up arrow right next to the microphone, everybody click on that. And then click on audio settings. Right in the middle of the page, you're going to see speaker, microphone, audio profile. Onto audio profile, we want to click on low.
Yeah, that's what you had me do, and it's still clicked on low. So good.
Yep. So, okay.
I don't have a low under audio profile. I have high fidelity music mode, echo cancellation, stereo audio.
On the right hand side. So when you go into your audio settings,
Uh-huh.
right up top, does it say speaker on the right hand side?
Does it say what?
Speaker.
Yeah.
Then underneath that, microphone.
Mm-hmm. Microphone.
Automatically adjust microphone volume.
Yes.
Right underneath that, audio profile.
Yes.
Then you have Zoom optimized audio.
Yes.
Then background noise suppression.
No, I don't have that.
You don't have the background noise suppression? Oh, okay. Hold on. Is your Zoom optimized audio, is that radio button clicked?
No.
Okay.
There you go.
So click
Oh, I
on,
did. I clicked it and then put it on low. Okay.
perfect. Okay.
And then how do I save it? Does it automatically
It'll
save it?
automatically save as soon as you hit that little X up in the top right-hand corner. Now let's try it again, and your microphone shouldn't suppress the sound. Okay. Try to make that, draw that wave out just a little bit. We're waving on that top note. You just went a little too hard on that read.
I think it's wearing out. Send it around. I'll work on it in silence for a while.
All right.
And I'll come back.
All right. Gregory, your turn, mister. It's almost like, think of it as almost like you're saying, hey, hello. There you go. Good. Mr. Jim? There it is. Good. There we go. Larry's sneaking one in on the back cord
Okay.
there. So, all right, now here's the deal. Our newbie, we're gonna paint the floor and set the expectation.
Can I set that? I thought this was Duck Calling Academy. But, I'm sorry. I think I signed up for the wrong. I didn't want to be rude and drop.
By the way,
I wanted to.
I laughed out loud on that video with your coworker laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael's also known as Duck Commander.
Oh. Now, all right. So a little bit about Anthony is Anthony's been doing private lessons with me over the last 10, 12 weeks, 13 weeks.
You shouldn't have said anything. Now I'm gonna feel bad when it doesn't turn out very well. But
I'm already expecting you to do exactly what you were going to do. You told me you were going to do last night, just because of the sarcastic nature. So
I'm waiting to hear perfection.
oh gosh, oh man.
there it is. Good. Good. Okay. Andy, bring us home. Good. Good nasaliness at the end there. Good. So, okay, nice job. So now, remember when I've talked about different ways to hold your mouth, different features to kind of get some little bit different manipulation in the sounds. When I do the regathering mew, I like to do it with my mouth completely open. So, for example, mouth closed. But when you take your mouth and completely open it, do you hear how immediately you get so much more projection, you get more volume, you get more depth to it? So
A little sharper.
It is, and it bites a little bit more. And that's one of the things that, because the regathering mew, remember, you're broadcasting to cover ground. So you want that volume, you want that projection out there. But also, too, remember, we talked about that bedded bull that was advertising. And so, you slip up to the 200-yard mark. So, you hit him with a couple assembly mews and assembly with a demanding. You hit him with a soft regathering mew, but he still stays there and he just keeps advertising and hitting you with a roundup and wants you coming over here. Now, now all of a sudden you're getting more forceful with him. You're still saying the exact same things, but now you're showing that you're getting a little bit of agitation because he's not doing what you want to do, especially if you're in that situation where you cow called and he hit you with the roundup bugle and you covered half the distance and he's not coming to you. Man, start getting frustrating and demanding. So what's up, Knox?
Sorry, I'm coming in while this is happening. This just got a bite mark in it, and it's not working as well.
Okay, I'll check on it afterwards and quit biting on it so hard.
Call Jason. Let him know you want a refund.
Yeah. I'll have him call Ranella. So
Yeah,
Ranella's,
call Steve.
yeah, Ranella's the true decision maker now.
Yeah.
Mhm. So
Are they listed under the pre-bit category?
yes, yeah. So I think that's Dirk Durham's quality control where he sends it out with at least one tooth mark. So
That means it was tested.
exactly. But don't worry, we wiped it off with an alcohol wipe before we put it in the packaging and sent it out. So it's clean. So okay. So does that make sense on how you can start with soft on the regathering mew and then kind of project a little bit? So how many of you have practiced with trying to hold your mouth in different ways to get different projection? Anthony, you're not allowed to answer this because I know you have. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't.
So so it's kind of one of those things where, Jim, we've talked about a lot of different sounds. There's different ways that you can, hold your mouth to just give different projections and different pronunciations. For example, just holding your mouth normal. But now if I take my bottom jaw and drop it, gives a little bit more focus on that bottom end. Then you have the Joker face where you can take the corner of your mouth, pull it back. Joker face works really, really well on your calf sounds. They're a little shorter, they're a little crisper. And then, of course, you have your mouth completely open. That gets a little bit more sharper and a little bit more bite to it. Also gives some good nasaliness on the bottom end. So just some things to kind of play around with. And a good way to do is all the different elk vocalizations, try them with each facial feature. And cool thing is, what I like to do in the lessons, and Anthony can attest to this, is I ask you to do this in front of a mirror so you can see exactly. You don't need to move your mouth a bunch to get those different variations. And when you do it in front of a mirror, you're actually adding your auditory senses or your visual senses in with your auditory senses to, one, see what you're doing here, but also hear what you're doing on the sound and go, okay, on that specific vocalization, I really like the way it sounds when I do this with my mouth. And then each time you practice those sounds, make sure you're doing it with your mouth held that way. And that's just going to give you a lot of variety in your calling. A lot of head shaking. Okay.
Works for me.
Okay. All right. So that's basically a regathering meal. What questions do we got?
Yeah.
Did Greg do his? Greg, did you do yours?
Yes.
I want to hear it again.
Problem is you were muted practicing yours while he was doing his.
You're just muting me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
That's
tried
true.
it with different diaphragms, and it seems like you get a different tone out of different ones.
You do. Is that 700?
This is the Dirty Deuce.
The Dirty Deuce.
Dirty Deuce.
Dirty Deuce. The 750. That one
Yeah.
sounds more like the police are behind you.
Yeah. Well, in both those, I mean, you're talking about, I mean, the Dirty Deuce is a double reed, the 750 is a triple reed, and so, you got a lot of latex. And so that's why with his, he doesn't have that real nasaliness on the bottom end like everybody else using singles. And that's because the Dirty Deuce and the 750 weren't really designed for that nasally yaw sound. So,
What about the ECA? Is that a single?
nope, ECA is 1.5. So, yep, a little more on the bottom end. So, and in fact, Greg, I know you like that Rip It frame. As soon as Mark gets me, we've been working on the Rip It 2.0. So that sound bridge on that, we've changed it just a little bit. And he built quite a few of the ECA reed on that new Rip It 2.0. So when those come in, I'll get one in your hands to play with because I know you really like that Rip It frame, and I'd like some feedback on that new frame.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think. You had mentioned a reed in one of the previous sessions, and I think I found which one it was.
the new
Let me-
V3.
It's right over here. Let me
Okay.
grab it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and what I've been blowing on tonight is the final version of the V3 from the Native by Carlton.
Yeah, this is a V3.
What color latex does that one have?
This one's the green.
Okay. That's the 4000s.
This
That's
one's
the
hard to
medium
blow.
latex.
The medium. Yeah, this one's harder to blow.
Is it really? Okay. Brand
Definitely louder.
brand new.
Yes, it is. I've only blown it like twice. So.
Okay. So best thing to do on that is grab your grunt tube and rip 15, 20 good hard bugles on it. I mean, good hard bugles. Put a lot of pressure into it. Get that latex to
Okay.
kind of settle into the pocket a little bit. So, did you go with the wide frame or the medium frame? Do you remember?
I thought I just did medium because that's what size you told me I was
Yeah.
a medium.
Okay.
You can I let my dog chew on mine and breaks them in pretty fast.
What's your address? I'll mail these over. You can let the dog chew on these. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a new pup, and so that thing's gonna start chewing on everything. So
Yeah.
everybody can just send their reeds to Anthony and get them broken in. Hey, Anthony,
go.
there you go. We were talking about business ideas last night. There's new business. Hey, send me your diaphragm reeds. I'll break them in for you.
I'll do it for free, no problem.
Yeah.
Love it.
Doc already is breaking that easy one in.
So, all right. What other questions?
I have one.
Yep.
But it's not related to elk calling.
Okay.
Okay, so when I first get on this with you, you're locking up like crazy. It takes till now for everything to be fine on the video. Is it something on my end?
It's
Some
something
of
on your end. Yeah, you were freezing up pretty hard when you first jumped in, and I've
really,
noticed
you know
I've
what?
noticed that the last few episodes.
I've got like the one of the best, highest Wi-Fi things, and it's like right there. It's like a foot and a half away.
Well, I mean, all of us have Elon Musk's new internet satellite, internet, and obviously you haven't jumped onto that board yet. It's
And you can tell the difference.
yeah, yeah.
Jim, you've got the worst.
All of ours are powered by batteries, so we're California compliant.
You know, Jim, it could be as simple as that fan going on behind you. That movement in the
Really?
background would eat a lot of bandwidth.
Really?
Yeah, but you got to remember though, he's down there in Arizona where it's probably 127 today.
Well, no, it's not. It's only 73 degrees right now.
Then what are you
Believe
running
it
your
or not.
ceiling fan for? And the only reason
Because,
we're fairly nice in Boise
dude,
today. Only
I
reason
weigh
I
like
had to
290.
What's that?
I weigh like 290. I'm 6'5", 290.
Okay.
I'm fit all the time.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
No, we're pretty nice in Boise today, but the only reason I had to throw the hoodie on was I did my cold water therapy tonight, and I'm having a hard time warming back up after that thing.
Yeah.
And Michael, do you have any suggestions? I'm having a heck of a time tuning my bow in.
Okay.
Do you have any YouTubers that are out there that you'd suggest checking out for doing that? Or
So tuning, have you paper tuned it?
I haven't. I bought brand new arrows 2 weeks ago. I shot 3 arrows and pulled back, and a cam snapped on my bow. So
Uh-huh.
I just got it back yesterday from being repaired. So then I'm going to try and tune probably this weekend.
Okay. So 2 things I would do is, first off, definitely make sure that they got your knock point in the right place. So, because sometimes when they do stuff like that, your knock point will change just a little bit.
Okay.
The other thing to do is, if you have brand new arrows, are all of the new arrows fletched?
Yes.
Take the fletchings off of one arrow and clean it with rubbing alcohol and do a bear shaft tune. And so
Okay.
the way you do a bear shaft tune is you start at 5 yards, you shoot your fletched arrow, and then you shoot your bear shaft. What you want to do is you want both arrows sticking in the target, pointing in the same direction. They don't necessarily have to be touching, but you want to make sure that they're pointing in the right direction. Because if your veined arrow is here and your bear shaft is off to a side, then your knock is or your rest is out of tune. And you want to move your rest to the direction of your bear shaft knock, and it's not going to take much at all. Very, very minimal movements with that.
Right.
Then
Well, I did, like I said, I got about 3 arrows off and at 5 yards, and they were sitting in the target at a pretty bad angle. So something's not right.
So it's either are they left, right, up, down? Which way you're going?
Now you're making me remember 2 weeks back. I think they were high and right.
The knock is high and right.
Yeah.
So then you could have an issue of where you don't have clearance, where a vein is ticking off of the cables. So with your bow undrawn and you knock your arrow, take a look right down your arrow shaft, and if it looks like that vein is going to contact. So let's say you have cock vein up. If it looks like that vein on the right is going to make contact with that cable, then you want to rotate. Now, the other thing it could be is that your arrows are not knock tuned.
Right. Well, I know they weren't. They just came out of the box however they came out.
So yeah. Well, and you've got 2 things you're dealing with. Is one, you just had a new cam, which means your bow got restrung, and then 2, you have brand new arrows too. So, so what you may do is, if you can get into an archery shop, paper tune it first, and then do that bear shaft tune. And that bear
Okay.
shaft, like I said, you're going to start at 5 yards, then you're going to go back to 10, then 15, then 20, 25, 30, and keep stretching that thing out and making sure that both that fletch and that bear shaft tune are hitting the same. And that
Okay.
the knock that they're both in the target the same way. If you do that, I can guarantee. So we got a lot of background noise. Who's um it was Sandy on the cell phone. So um if you do that walk back tune with or the bear shaft tune, I can guarantee that any broadhead you put on your arrow will fly and hit exactly like your field points. And that's the best way to tune a bow.
All right, I'll give it a shot, or
Okay.
several.
Okay, perfect. Or several. So, okay. Any other questions? Doesn't have to be about regathering Mew.
No, I have a comment.
Okay.
Ever since I turned the ceiling fan off, it's worked. You're better. So thank you, Sandy.
See, you keep blaming me for this. It's my fault.
Well,
I'm
it was
laggy, and
just
now I'm
wondering, man.
better. And
I mean, it was like locking up bad.
that is actually something that's a new speech pattern that I've actually been practicing. So just to mess with y'all, so
And,
you can make your internets
and
think
you're
you're
good at it. You're very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Oh
You
my
should
god.
get an
Wayne's World.
Yeah, Wayne's World. So yeah. So
Okay,
okay.
Michael, as we wrap this up, let's hear a couple of inviting cow calls and then followed by the regathering mew.
So remember the inviting cow call, that term, Larry, is actually an envelope that has a lot of sounds within it. So, and what I mean by the inviting is it's an inviting sound. It's inviting because it's asking for something. Are you talking about the inviting cow routine?
Yeah.
So, okay. So within that, you have a normal mew, but then you also have an assembly mew, a demanding mew, a regathering mew, a lost excited mew, that each one of those ask for either a response or an action. So, and Larry, there is a live Q&A where I believe we went over the inviting cow routine. God, that was last year, wasn't it, Jim? Because that was before your cow hunt that we went over that. Oh, now he's frozen again. Or he's thinking.
Yeah, I think it was last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So Larry, there is a replay. Yeah. There's a live Q&A that covers the inviting cow routine, that breaks down all the sounds that are included in it, and covers all those. And so, and then the regathering mew again. So
Good. Thank you.
not a problem. So, all right. I'll give you guys a heads up for the topic in 2 weeks. The title of it's going to be El Nina, La Nina, Who Knows-a. So basically, we're going to talk about, yeah, who knows? We're going to be talking about El Nina and La Nina ocean patterns and how those affect the weather within elk country, and basically what to expect as far as food in your area, and also elk behavior, whether they're going to be broken into smaller groups, whether they're going to be bunched into larger groups. So that way you can get a good idea early in the summer of what type of weather pattern the Pacific Ocean has and how that could possibly affect your hunt in September.
Cool.
Not a bad topic. Anthony's grinning like,
You're blowing my fucking head off right now.
So, okay.
Most people wait till after they don't fill their tag for that.
Yes. So, well, and that's why we're doing this to get those tags punched. So
I thought you were gonna make a Chris Farley joke or something. I'm like, where's this going?
yeah. No. Chris Farley. Yeah. No, but I am going to watch that duck video again I showed you last night just because I needed some good laughter.
What the deal? What the duck?
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Greg, you want to do the close tonight?
Oh, I had it on a little sticky note here, and then I threw that away last week. So,
all right, guys. So we'll wrap it up.
Keep
It's all
calling, keep practicing, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. And most importantly, have fun.
there we go. So keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, though, have fun, everybody, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Appreciate all you guys tuning in tonight. We'll see you later.
Thank you, guys. Hey, Anthony, where do you live?
Missoula, Montana.
Missoula. Okay, cool. All right,
Come by
guys.
anytime. Want to get out of Oklahoma with those twisters? Come on over.
All right, thanks so much.
Later, guys. That's
Good night, guys.
Great meeting. Thanks a lot. Nice meeting you, Anthony.
Yeah, welcome.